In this video, I would like to take a look at the average returns for October and the rest of Q4, but different than other people like to do actually, because if we take the average, but we include years of 2010, 2011, where Bitcoin wasn't really participating in the 4-year cycle yet, then we might get a really different picture. Plus, it is the election year, it's the halving year. And these years are pretty much different from other years as well. So what I would like to do is take a look at the average returns for October during the halving years and also at the average returns for Q4 of the halving years to get a much more realistic picture like, hey, how is Bitcoin usually behaving? And then maybe we can also glue together how that aligns with the altcoin market. So if you already like it, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Welcome to the Fomo Factory, the Fomo Factory. Turn the bell notification on. Good morning. Let me take my coffee and get right into it. So this right here, these are the Octobers. And as you can see, in this October in 2012, we had a bad month, actually. We were down 9.67%. So that's not off to a good start. However, the other two Octobers definitely made up for it. This October in 2016 had a pump of 14.44%, and October in 2020 had a pump of 28.12%. So diminishing losses in this case, actually, not even diminishing returns. So that's quite beautiful to see. Nevertheless, that's not going on forever, and I like to take an average of that. And if we take an average of that, we come to the number 11. So that means that on average, October during the halving year, Bitcoin goes up. Let me resize the camera. Bitcoin goes up with 11%. Now, where could that take us? Depends, of course, on where Bitcoin closed this month. Let's say it closed here, right? Which is not going to happen, of course. Could be higher, lower, same, but probably not here. Nevertheless, it's all we got for now. And we put it 11% up. It will give us Bitcoin at $70,000. So that's if Bitcoin stays where it is right now, closes right here, and Bitcoin in October does what it does on average, then we should see a pump of 11%, which takes us to 70K. Doesn't sound that spectacular yet. I know. But that's just October, right? That's just 1 month. What about full Q4 during the election year? Well, that's a lot more interesting. So if we take a look at that, you can see that in 2012, Q4, we had a pump of 8.95%. In 2016, we had a pump of 59.17%. And in 2020, we had a pump of 168.86%. Also, by the way, diminishing loss is pretty interesting. I don't know what's up with that. Might be a coincidence. I'm a little cold, by the way. I'm not sniffing coke right here. Crypto is exciting enough as it is. Okay, so, all right. So, as you can see, the returns are getting bigger and bigger and bigger for the Q4s. Now, why is that? Well, I think it's mostly, as you can see right here, we already went straight up, basically. Here, we did it a little slower, and here we went even way slower. So it's more like, Q4 is kind of compensating for the earlier quarters. Now, as you can see right here, we are kind of doing what we did in 2019, actually. So it could definitely be that we see this on the higher side. Nevertheless, also go with the average, and the average is 78%. So September is about to end, and that's the end of this quarter. So again, let's say that we close this month at the same price where we are right now. What was the number again? 78%. That's actually a lot more fun than that boring 11%. 78% takes Bitcoin all the way to 110, 114-ish by the end of the year. And I want to give a disclaimer. I think we all understand this, but no, this is not me saying like, well, here you go. This is what's going to happen. This is my price prediction. No, this is just if Bitcoin does what it does on average during this stage of the market. Right? So although it's not a prediction, it's the most realistic outcome to come close to that number. Could it go higher, lower? Yes, that's how averages work. So definitely possible. Now, what could this mean for the altcoin market, though? Well, let's mark this off first. 114, 13, whatever, K by the end of the year. And we got a 70K by the end of October. So this is all going to depend on how the Bitcoin dominance behaves. So let's also take a look at that, because it's very simple. The Bitcoin dominance is showing how much Bitcoin is dominating this crypto space, right? And it is basically that if the dominance stays where it is, then altcoins don't move more or less compared to Bitcoin, and then they just go with the same amount of returns. However, if the Bitcoin dominance goes up, yeah, then altcoins will have less returns, and if the Bitcoin dominance goes down, altcoins probably have more returns. Or people are putting all their money in stables instead of altcoins. But I don't know who's doing that right now, so let's not assume that that's going to massively happen all of a sudden. Nevertheless, what we already see, by the way, is we see the Bitcoin dominance going down a little bit, especially on the day, and we can see that the altcoin market is doing quite nice, has a good response to that. Broke the trend line, by the way, newsflash, that basically was this whole downtrend since March, right? We have been in a downtrend for half a year right now. It got a lot of people wrecked. A lot of people bought the top or quite high, and they rode it all the way down. Downtrend, I don't want to say it too soon, but it so far it looks broken. Why don't I want to say it too soon? Well, it could be a fake out, right? We had a fake out over here as well. It depends on how the week is going to close. If the altcoin market this week goes back to 190 billion, for example, then you just see this as one big wick and you can find the body right there, right? So that kind of depends on how the week is going to close, and it's Tuesday at the moment of recording, so way too soon to call. But so far looking good. Did not make a higher high yet, so we have some work to do, but then again, a higher high, 226 billion. We're now sitting at 218. Hey, this week could be make or break for altcoins, to be honest. So how does the dominance and therefore the altcoin market perform in October and Q4? Let's take a look at that. So the dominance in October, only October, of the halving years, and we don't have as much data as with Bitcoin, of course, because it's 2016 and 2020. But in 2016, I think it was quite flat. Let me get the line first. Yeah, okay. October 2016, yeah, it was actually up, by the way. It was during this whole sideways period, it was the highest pump, actually. And during 2020, should be somewhere here, October 2020. Ooh, up hard. So up 8.18%, so let's say 8%, and up 1%, right? So yeah, that's an average of around like 4.5. So if the dominance goes up 4.5% from this point, yeah, that would take it to, let me get it, I don't know from the top of my head, 60% actually. Exactly 60%, which is funny because if you take a Fibonacci and you take it from this level to the bottom, if you draw it right, not like I just did, if you take a Fibonacci, that's not a Fibonacci. Good morning, FOMO. Here we go again. All right, if you take Fibonacci, you see that the dominance got rejected at 618 last cycle. What's interesting, if you draw a Fibonacci from this point to this point, you can see that the 618 comes in at what? 60%. So this could mean that in October, actually, is the final push for the Bitcoin dominance to finally really top out. It's a possibility. And I said before, like, hey, alt season looks like it's going to start. Bitcoin dominance topping out. But I called that at 58%, right? Like, it can go to 60. It can go to 62. It can go to 59, whatever, around this area. But this could mean the final push for the Bitcoin dominance. And that could also mean for the altcoin market that they will definitely perform well, right? Because Bitcoin is going up, but Bitcoin slightly outperforms the altcoin market in October. That's kind of what the averages are saying. But again, like, that's average. It's fucking speculative. Like, don't trade this, okay? Don't trade this. Because this is not going to work out like this. but it's nice to know what the averages are, right? That's the only key the only thing we have basically. So yeah, I can take a look at the altcoin market right now, but kind of, the dominance said it all. Although this is, of course, the chart for the low caps, right? Everything in the top 125, excluding the top 10. And the real low caps are not even here, so they could do different, right? Different. So let's take a look anyway. In 2016 October, we have it there, and then we have 2020 October, we have it there. So October 2020, the altcoin market pumped with 9.6%, and in 2016 it went down with 1.5%, right? So that's an average of 4. Right, so 4%. Wow. Right, that's not that spectacular though. However, what is interesting though, if we do pump 4%, let me zoom in a little bit more. Let me put it on the weekly to show it better. If we do pump 4%, let's say we pump from here, right? But anything could happen between now and the end of September anyway. But if we do pump 4%, that would mean a slightly higher high, right? And that would mean actually officially downtrend broken. And it makes sense, right? Bitcoin already pushing like it always does, while altcoins are trying to get out of their downtrend. It's what we have seen as well earlier in this cycle and other cycles. Bitcoin already made a new all-time high. Altcoins, far from it, right? Altcoins are running behind. And for October, it's kind of showing like, well, on average, the same happens. So it's quite interesting to see how that plays out. However, what about Q4, right? What about the whole, whatever. What about Q4? Okay, let's take a look at Q4 on average, because there's more than just October, right? If you are a trader, unfollow. Like, I'm not trading. You're like, you should not follow this, right? If you are an investor though, welcome. But investing is more than just putting your money in September and taking it out in October, right? So let's take a look at the rest as well. So if we have Q4 in 2016 and we have Q4 in 2020, then we get this picture. Q4 2016 pump 9.5%, let's say 10%. And here it was 42%, right? So 52%. That's an average of 26. Okay. Right, so if we get a pump on average of 26%, then the altcoin market might go to $277 billion. That's kind of the line that I can see the altcoin market go to based off of that. Now, you're saying like, wow, that's like not that much, right? Well, yeah, if you compare it to Bitcoin, it's not that spectacular. If you look at this move, then it's pretty nice though. I mean, from this point until there, that's, well, 27%, of course, 26%. However, from the, well, not the wick, but from this low until where we are right now, it's up 20%, right? So that will be more than that. And in the last 3 weeks, you should have made money on your bags, right? From the lows. So imagine that another time and a little more. That's for Q4. You might still think, this is fucking disappointing. Like, Bitcoin, 70, altcoins, 20, what the fuck, right? That's also because, and that goes kind of in line with my expectation as well, that alt season should start end of the year, beginning next year, right? So it definitely makes sense that Bitcoin goes up Q4, but that altcoins underperform, so that they also go up but less hard. And that then alt season will start, right? Then alt season will start. And then altcoins are going to outperform. And you must understand, that's interesting, if, big if, right? But if Bitcoin indeed goes to $113,000, and the altcoin market by then says, hey, let's outperform, right? Let's make that Bitcoin dominance go down. AKA, take the liquidity out of an $114,000 Bitcoin to put it in the altcoin market, right? Instead of taking it out a 20K Bitcoin the last time we saw an alt season. That's a big difference. So therefore, I also is one of the reasons why I think next year is going to be fucking massive for altcoins. Load up. This is really the final time, right? You are not sitting at the lows anymore. But hey, if you kind of expect like me where it goes around trillion, maybe 3.5, then this is a good deal, right? Next year, it's time to take the profits from that, right? During the whole next year, basically, not to invest hard or anything. So again, if this plays out, which it won't, but if this plays out, then it kind of means we are getting some gains, but overall, it is really the last moment we get to get into the altcoin market before it really goes hard. I will do a video also for the post-halving year about this, because a lot of people expect October and the rest of Q4 to be bullish. I see everybody talking about it. But the opinions about the post-halving year are still very much divided, right? Some people say we top out in March. Some people say we stick to the 4-year cycle and we top out end of 2025, right? Opinions really divided. Let's just take a look again at the averages. That's the best we can do. So I'll make the next video will be about that, the average for what we can expect for next year. And it could be more, it could be less, it could be whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. I am prepared. My portfolio is ready. I have some cash on the sideline. If it stays on the sideline, it's fine. Doesn't matter. But it's also fine if there comes a good correction still, because they can always occur, right? But my portfolio is ready. I have stacked up on quality altcoins, on some juicy micro caps. So I'm ready to fly. If you want to see my portfolio, I actually let you really screenshot it. There's a Patreon link down below. You get access to a private Discord where you can see my portfolio, private deals, influencer wallet trackers, etc. So definitely do check it out. For now, things are looking bullish on average. And will this time be different? Let's find out. But I am fucking hyped. So if you are too, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I'll see you soon.